Nappy. You are tuned into the Regal 30 podcast. I'm your host with the most, King Nappy. How's everybody doing today? I like this instrumental. That instrumental is made by yours truly. Check me out on SoundCloud at King Nappy 7. I'll be uploading some more instrumentals pretty soon. I hope everybody's doing well today. It is Monday, 11:11 a.m. I got through making a few errands and running a few errands and everything. I'm back at home. It is chilly in here, so for those of you guys who are watching on YouTube and who are subscribed to the channel, if you are not subscribed, stop wasting your time. Get over to YouTube, find NappsandNurture, NappsandNurture, and subscribe. It's a little chilly in here for those of you who can see me with the little blanket on. I got a little Sherpa blanket. It's comfy. I think it was a gift. I think it's Sherpa or fake Sherpa or fake faux. Not sure. What do you want, cellular device? I've been feeling pretty good. I've been kind of laying off of the coffee, and I've been kind of hitting up a little bit of tea lately. I got some I think it's like raspberry tea or something like that. Iced raspberry. Today I wanted to just speak on credit building. I noticed that it seems that in America we have a lot of people that tend to have bad credit history, whether it be through unfortunate events like medical conditions, such as, me and my wife, constantly back and forth to the hospital with medical fees due to seizures and things like that, or school loans, bad credit card debt. It's just a number of things that seems to throw us into an endless spiral of bad decisions financially that affect our credit for a number of years, and also impact certain opportunities and certain things and that we could get if we had better credit. And it just seems like we tend to fall short. I'm going to have a guest on the line with me pretty soon. She wanted to speak on a few things with this about me. Go ahead and get this going. Hey.
Hey, how's it going?
I am doing great. How about yourself?
So far, so good today.
That's good. That's good. I just got through running a few errands myself. I am finally back at home.
Mm. You didn't have to go to any stores and deal with any crowds, did you?
Nah.
That's good.
I had to go do a little bit of grocery shopping earlier, and just noticing like just how bare the stores was. That was a little different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Their produce section was like completely empty, which was surprising.
And it never is when there's nothing else going on. Hold on one second.
No problem.
Hear me? I just decided to use headphones. Is that okay?
Oh, that's perfect.
Okay, just let me know if there's like any feedback or anything like that, and I'll take them off.
Oh no, for right now you're fine.
Okay, great.
I wanted to speak a little bit about as for the past couple weeks, I say about 2 or 3 weeks, I've been doing like some credit repair on my own actually. I've been
Okay.
looking up different bureaus and looking up my history and things that I did when I was like 18 years old, and just dumb young decisions that I was making, and kind of cleaning things up a bit. Um, been looking at all three bureaus and checking my little history, and sending in disputes and kind of getting some things taken off that were supposed to have been falling off, or things that were actually paid that just never comes off. Um, I want to talk about like the importance of credit. How was credit and credit maintenance and being responsible of your credit, was that something that was taught to you at a young age coming up, or was that something that you more so learned about as an adult?
It was something that I learned as an adult and young and dumb. Um, the only teaching that I ever had regarding credit was don't use it, don't touch it.
Mm. And I've heard that
And,
too. Like people saying don't, they, because they were real fearful of it and things like that. So they'll just be like, no, don't use it, don't touch it. Just if you can't pay for it in cash, don't even bother with it.
see, I didn't get that second part. I didn't get the if you can't pay with cash, don't bother with it. My mom wasn't taught about credit. So she basically just told me what she knew of her own, like out of her own, which is don't get it. Credit cards are bad. But I honestly think that teaching, that's common in a lot of, if I can just direct it towards the black community,
Uh huh.
I think that that's something that is extremely common. I work, as you know, in a retail store where we have a credit card, and that's still the mindset. And because, like, I'm 30 years old now, I've made my mistakes and things like that. I try to have, like, miniature credit conversations with my young customers to kind of break that mindset. And what's surprising is that it's a mix. It's young and old.
Mm-hmm.
People who don't know what credit is, people don't know why you need it. And it's just, it's really sad in a way. I kind of feel like in for majority culture, and when I say majority culture, I mean our white counterparts, it works in their favor for minorities to have poor credit or no credit.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Like you said, with the black community, I know it's something that isn't necessarily prioritized. Um, the reason I was wanting to talk about this is because I was noticing that there's a lot of different traditions with different races. Whether it's culturally, whether it's the things you celebrate, whether it's the holidays you acknowledge, whether it's certain times of the year you guys do certain festive activities, whatever it may be. I know that just with different races, there's just different things that are traditionally prioritized rather than other things in comparison to one another. One of the things I was noticing with, especially like you said, the black community, I wasn't even really going to like necessarily bring it up, but it's a that's a definite point with the black community. That's something that's not really prioritized. Um, what I notice is most of the time with our parents, we always get the same story. We were scratching and surviving, just trying to make it, trying to get food on the table and clothes on your back. So most of the time, being financially responsible wasn't necessarily something that we prioritized, that we took seriously. It was mainly just getting by.
Yep.
We didn't really want to make the sacrifice, or we felt that we couldn't afford to make the sacrifice to save, to budget and things like that. We just sort of just scratched to get by. And there's also like a small form, at least I feel, of escapism that we as
Oh, for
blacks
sure.
like take up. And I think that sense of escapism correlates to why our credit histories are so terrible. Bank accounts tend to struggle a bit more. Savings and retirement accounts aren't really prioritized. You know, um, but I wonder, like, as to what's the reason, like, what's the bare bone reason for that? Why is it that there's one race that completely gets it and completely prioritizes it, and not even saying that whole entire race just does it, but majority wise, when I look at majority of blacks and majority of I'd say whites in this case, in comparison to who has a Roth IRA retirement account and who doesn't, who has a mutual bond savings and who doesn't, who may have a 750 or above credit score or maybe even an 800 and who doesn't. When I look at that, the numbers are usually generally lopsided and it's usually in favor of whites. And I noticed that it seems like just we as blacks seem sometimes we just don't really pay attention to that as much. And I was noticing that with myself when I was, like I said, going through a lot of my old decisions that I made. I'm like, wow, I did a lot of irresponsible things, a lot of just spur of the moment decisions that I was just making. And it was
I
just
think that, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, no, no. You go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're okay, keep going.
Um, just noticing that like I would make a lot of just harebrained just decisions. Jump from phone company to phone company. Most of my debt wasn't super horrible, but it was a lot of just a bunch of cell phone companies jumping from one company to the next. I got like 3 credit cards when I first turned 18. I got one with First Financial Bank or something like that. It's like a credit card with a limit. I think it was like $700 limit or something like that. Which for me, when I was at that age, was like, oh man, that's a lot of money. uh, then I got one with Jared. No, it was either K Jewelers or Jared, but I think K got bought out or something like that. And it's registered under there as Jared. And I had another one with J.C. Penney. It was just stupid stuff, and I was just like, oh, I can just go and get credit cards. So I was just going in the mall and just going to different stores and just applying for credit cards, just willy nilly, and was getting them and was maxing them out, not paying. And years later, here I am, finally getting that stuff took care of and cleaning up my credit. But it's so many opportunities that having, I guess, a good credit history and rating and a score could get you. But I'm sorry I interrupted you. What were you getting ready to say?
So no, I was just going to say that you answered the question you were expressing, like about surviving. I think that that's the reason why you have that for large disproportion between credit be like or credit or let's just say financial awareness or financial savviness between blacks and whites. We're still in that survival mindset. Just and we use and when you said escapism earlier, like I agree, but in this sense, I don't think it's voluntary escapism. I don't think that when we use escapism or when we practice it, that we're aware of it. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Because when you think about finances, um, like for me, for example, with tax money, I know we talked about tax money on a few episodes ago when we talked about black businesses and materialism and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I use some of my tax money to pay off some bills, to pay off some debt, so that I could work even more towards the credit score that I desire. I think that when money comes in, it provides you with a little bit more cushion to take care of the priorities. So, like, I
Yeah.
know people who they bought more groceries that they wouldn't have normally bought had they not had the money, or they, redid some parts of their house, which are all valid decisions in this case. But when it comes to credit, I think that I don't want to say ignorance is bliss, but it's a lot of ignorance, a lot of lack of knowledge about why you need it, what it's for, and how it can benefit.
Yeah.
When extra money comes in that we should be saving, spend it on that. Let's just treat the kids. Or I mean, I don't have kids, but like if I'm imagining it in like a family type of setup,
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine that it'd be okay. We got a couple extra, $100. Let's take the kids out to a nice dinner because why not? Why not treat your family? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? these treats that our white counterparts or our other counterparts who might be a little bit more financially I guess, intelligent or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
these treats to us are like common to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So by the time the extra money is gone in that less fortunate, less financially stable household, saving has gone out the window. You know what I
Mm.
mean? When I was 10 years ago before I got this job, I worked at a job where I was making about $1,000 a month. Now, I'm grown now. That's a little bit of money. Like, it's good money, but it's a little bit.
Yeah.
But I had never made money like that in my life. And I had a friend who was like, we go shopping together. She said, you work a lot. Why you don't buy? Why don't you save? Like, why don't you spend more on yourself? And I said, I was like, I'm just trying to save for a rainy day. Even though I never really thought about what a rainy day could look like because I was still young, but I just knew that it was a term, so I just used it. She was like, save for a rainy day for what? You made it, you can spend it. Stop saying no to yourself. How much do you have saved? And at the time, I had maybe like $400, almost $500 saved in my account. And she was like, girl, I would sit there so quick. You should just buy it. Stop saying no to yourself. And so I started listening to her because I
Mm.
did have I had a time where I just didn't feel like I deserved certain things. I didn't want to fall into materialism. And
Wow.
it got to, I'm serious, like something as simple as shoes. Like, I never forget, I bought these shoes. I thought I liked them. Just that they were comfortable. They were high top. I'm not a high top person for real, but I knew I needed shoes.
Yeah.
But like I would get to the point where I would just constantly fall into buyer's remorse because I didn't feel like I deserved it. And I would take the stuff back, and then when I would grow a little bit, I would buy it. And as soon as I get home, if it was something that I knew that I needed and I could justify the purchase, I would tear up the receipt, but I couldn't take it back.
Oh wow.
And yeah, and then like even now, like I'm still dealing with issues about spending money and saving money because I know what it's like to be without. I was
Mm-hmm.
telling my sister a few months ago, I was like, I'm afraid to do these things financially because I want to hold on to it. You know, like we joke at work about when we get paid. That's not the day I get paid. That's the day my bills get paid. And sometimes I just want some money to sit in my account for a couple more days
Yeah.
before I pay this bill because I'm tired of being broke. Like I think throughout my 20s, every single year, I don't know why, but like every single year on New Year's Eve, I check my account to see where I was financially. And it was
Mm.
never in a good place. And I got tired. Like, I'm tired now. But going backwards to the friend who I was telling you about, a few years ago, we just had a heart to heart conversation. And I was just like, you know, it's kind of dangerous to not have anything. You have a family. You have several children. You got a house. Like, it's dangerous to get to that point where there's only a few dollars in your account because anything can happen. Some mamas notice, like, car might break down, kids might get sick, might take off work. You might need to pay your bills for a set amount of time that you're not able to work because you're tending to those events where life has happened. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And I think that if we could draw the awareness to those emergency situations, more people will probably be more likely to save a couple dollars on their paycheck. And
Yeah.
I know that it's doable because look at us. We got convenient food everywhere. It's nothing to go and do a drive-through. You could spend $10, $15 just on your lunch.
Mm-hmm.
That $10, $15 could be saved
Yep.
for an emergency fund of, hey, my check was short, but I need gas. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's about drawing awareness. If we could draw awareness, we have a bit more stability.
Absolutely. And with that, with drawing that more awareness and making people more conscious of what they're doing, um, sometimes just taking a step back and just examining your own spending, examining what you're doing. When I worked at a company called Dynamic, and I made pretty decent money there. I think I brought in roughly around like 4 or 5 grand a month,
Oh,
and
okay.
I with bringing in that much, and then with my wife, she had just started working at Barnes,
Mm-hmm.
so she was making a pretty decent amount. We brought in roughly maybe seven or eight maybe altogether, and We just whatever we wanted, we just bought it. Granted, we didn't want super duper expensive things, obviously, but if we wanted something, we just bought it. We didn't think twice about it. We saved a little bit. It was mainly for our anniversary trip. We wanted to take a trip to Florida. That was back in, I think it's 17 or
Yeah.
18. We took a little trip and we saved up for that, and we just blew so much money just there, just having fun and enjoying each other, making good memories. And I think the fact that we looked at it in that sense, we really didn't think we should have saved more. We should have put aside a little bit more. It was some months where we just was just spending loosely and just weren't thinking. And so when I end up leaving that job, I ended up working somewhere else and I wasn't making as much as I made there. And my thought process went to, man, while I was there, I should have saved, I should have put aside, I should have did this, And I did save, I did put aside, but not as much as I could have. And or even if I didn't save, I would have just cleaned up my credit, knocked some things off my credit report, something like that. Um I think sometimes emotionally we just get so weighed down with the work week that when we get paid, we just want to enjoy something for a moment.
Absolutely.
We want to have a little bit of fun. We want to enjoy something. We want to, like I said, that escapism, just kind of escape for a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, and that was something that we dealt with a lot. And so I think it's just a matter of finding different ways to escape. I think with especially us in our community, we're not really open to trying a lot of things. So our way of escaping is very simple. It's usually spending money, eating, fellowshipping with family or something like that, um, or shopping. You know what I mean? Like we tend to be real simple, whether it's going to the club, spending some money, buying drinks or smoking with somebody,
Mhm.
all piling together at somebody's house and doing a big cookout and we cooking some food or watching some TV or something like that, going to a movie. Those are some ways that we tend to escape and kind of enjoy ourselves on the weekends. And all of those things require us most of the time spending money that we don't necessarily need to spend. I think if we open our minds to trying something else, finding new ways to escape, maybe get into fitness, maybe get into exercising, or go on take a walk at the park, or a jog at the park, maybe doing a book club, just trying like different things that could give us that sense of escape. One of mine is art. I find ways to escape through art, through creation, through being creative and things like that. And some of it could cost money depending on what I'm doing and what supplies I may need. But for the most part, it tends to don't really take much. And just learning how to, for at least for myself, learning how to lean more towards that than trying to spend unnecessary money and finding enjoyment out of saving, finding enjoyment and some joy out of putting away. I remember one time where I did save adequately and something came up where I needed that pretty much like exactly the amount that I had in the
Mhm.
savings. And I was like homeless for like a quick second. And the amount of money that I had in savings, I forgot that I had it in there. Because that was how I had saved. Like I would throw a portion of my check into that savings account, and I didn't think about it. I just left it in there, and if I ran out of money anywhere else, I didn't touch it. That just was just there. So I ended up coming into an unfortunate situation where I ended up losing my job in the place that I had lived, and I needed some money in order to get into a place, and the amount of money that I had was just the amount that I needed. And but
So wasn't that a good feeling having it there available to you?
Yeah, it was a great feeling just knowing that I was able to take care of myself, and it was from
Yeah.
making small responsible decisions. A lot of times I think we cling to escapism as well because we feel like it's going to be such a drastic change in order to be better financially. And sometimes just
Yeah, and it's
small
not. It's not.
just small, simple changes.
Mhm.
What are some small changes or habits that you find works for you in order to be, being a little more financially responsible?
Biggest thing, cooking. Cooking at home,
Okay.
having enough food with me, and when I leave the house, having enough food with me, satiated to not even want to go out in like the food store or down to like Starbucks or whatever. Cooking is the biggest one for me. Um, I'm not someone who sees a whole lot of entertainment,
Mm-hmm.
so that works in my favor also. So like I work a lot. I come home, I just want to rest, and I might like stream Netflix. That's one time fee. I mean, and then when I do go out and another before I say go out, something that helps tremendously is transparency with friends,
Mm-hmm.
letting them know where I am financially helps them to also be vulnerable with me, letting me know where they are financially. So we don't play for a team when we want to spend time together. Want to have a girls' night or whatever. Hey, let's just go to one another's house, or I could one.
Yeah, like a little
Being
potluck setting.
transparent with my people, like that's something that helps. I don't have a good time. Like a friend I work with, we've gone out to dinner twice, once or twice.
Uh huh.
I don't know. And it wasn't expensive or whatever. Well, no. Yeah, we went out to dinner 3 times.
Uh huh.
Never really spent a whole bunch of money, but like yesterday and before that, we would just take walks around the mall after work, just talking. And sometimes you just need company or whatever. You don't have to spend money all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But before I'm sorry, before you make your next point, I just wanted to make a point about education.
Okay.
There is such a huge difference in financial literacy and when it starts. You and I went to the same high school.
Uh huh.
I don't recall ever having a financial literacy class.
Nope.
I didn't start hearing about financial literacy until college. I remember when I was at Swick meeting with a woman who works in a bookstore, and she talked about how local high schools had classes that were mandatory for their students to learn how to balance a checkbook, write a check, start a savings, open up an account. I didn't have any of it.
Mm.
My mom started an account because someone had told her to do it for us. She didn't deposit anything in there except for like the credit union or whatever. All you needed was $5 to open it and maintain it. And so, but I never really used it until I started working. I didn't get my first debit card until I was like maybe 18 or whatever. But even then, wasn't no money coming in. I think if
Mm.
we get someone who cared enough to offer their services to high school early, a huge turnaround.
Yeah.
Because kids today, they're only going to perpetuate what their parents have taught them if their parents have been able to teach them anything. Because it's a cycle, it's generation. That's all I was going to say.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine. And those are excellent points. And it made me think about a few things with because the bringing up the education is an excellent point. That's something that we weren't really taught like that at school, especially at Eastside. It was something that was mentioned by a few teachers here and there, but it wasn't as something necessarily something that was like really taught, and we really dove into it and got into it real good and developed an understanding for it. I remember Mr. Lockett, I think that was his name. I think he was a math teacher, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, math or science. And
The name sounds familiar, but I don't think I got to have him.
but he was pretty savvy when it came to finances and credit, and so he would mention it when the topic came up, how important it is and things like that. But that was pretty much it. It was always, yeah, make sure y'all stay on top of y'all credit. Y'all want to do this and do that, and that was pretty much it. And even with that, just us as kids, we just didn't have a heart to really accept it and latch on to the advice like that. I think
Mm-hmm.
with school as well as teaching at home, that would develop more of a deeper understanding for that child. if it's done in both places. But
For sure.
if you get that teaching at school and then you go home to your parent and they're still in a escapism mindset, then that's what you're going to more than likely take on. You're not going to necessarily prioritize, saving and building up credit and establishing that. One of the reasons I brought up traditions and races and traditions and things like that was because I look at races that are outside of white. I look at a lot of the Indian culture. I see a lot of them in the Asian culture. If I'm not, uh, I guess, saying that incorrectly, but a lot of the
No,
Asian,
I think, well, I mean, I know what you mean. The
yeah,
India, Asia, they're the same, but there are some differences.
yeah,
But I get where you're going.
yeah. I know. I would just notice it just like in the way that they did things. Say, for instance, they have a daughter or a son that's growing up. He's in high school. He graduates high school. Their immediate priority for him isn't necessarily get out of my house and go out into the world. They
It's
actually
work.
they want him to work. They want him to do school, him or her to go to school, but they want them to stay home. And one thing I would notice
Mm,
that like even after they graduate from college sometimes they want them to stay home and like really get their bearings. It isn't till they're sure that they're able to be on their own that they even necessarily like care to even speak about, okay, now you can go ahead and move on and move out. They want them to
mm,
stay home, get your bearings, get your education, because it's tough doing it on your own. It's just different. A lot of them encourage the family to stay inside of the home. Just stay here, we got a huge home.
collectivism.
Huh.
I'm sorry. No, that's that collectivistic culture.
Mm.
That's, versus individual society, which we can.
Yeah, and it's just it was just different just seeing that. And that's pros and cons to any sort of upbringing too, because I would notice that
Mm-hmm.
it would be cons to that where the person is a little more sheltered, not necessarily knowing how to function on their own without mom and dad's help. Um, Things like that. I would notice that with them, like they'll just be sort of like socially awkward, but just the how they prioritize that. And then I look at the black family and I think it's like get out, you're 18, you musty, get out. you know
Not mercy.
it's just like with my house, like she wasn't necessarily like get out. I think it was more so me, but she wasn't fighting it though. She wasn't like no, don't leave. She was just like, all right, that's what you want to do, you go ahead, you know
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't hurt myself. I didn't, it didn't hurt me to go out on my own and do my own thing. Um, I think I could have benefited more if I would have slowed down, prioritized finances, because I wasn't. I was getting my paychecks and just spending them on shoes and hats and clothes. I had hundreds of shoes. It was just I was had an escapism mindset, and credit building and credit history and all that wasn't taught in my household. It wasn't displayed in my household. Nobody had good credit. Everybody made bad decisions when they were young, and that was just that. And it was just it was just a stark difference from one household to the next when you see just the difference in races and cultures and traditions and just what they prioritized and what they didn't. But that was my thoughts on it. I just thought it was pretty interesting when I was kind of cleaning up my credit a little bit and just seeing how long it's been since I ever really haven't really even took a good look at it and see what I needed to fix and take care of, and I wanted to get on here on this podcast and just kind of speak on it a little bit and see you know what's to that.
I think this is definitely a great topic to talk about. How about we leave your listeners with a couple practical tips? Like, what advice would you give someone? What advice would you give to young Mike? What would you say to someone who 18 and getting a full credit card? Because strikes me is that, like, even though you don't have any credit card company they just know when you turn 18, and they just start sending them out. What
Mm-hmm.
advice would you give to someone graduating in a couple months, hopefully, because they get to graduate, and they're getting all those offers and stuff like that? What would you say to them?
The offers aren't a bad thing. Accepting one credit card is actually a good move. It's a smart move because when you're 18, you don't own anything. You don't you don't have enough money to go and purchase a car and just own a car unless your parents buy it for you. You don't have enough money to go and purchase a home. You don't have any money to just go and purchase anything to where you own it. The only thing that you would really be paying for and somewhat owning is possibly a cell phone bill, a utility bill, but getting a small credit card won't hurt you at all. It's just how you set up the way that you do it. Get you a secured line credit card.
Mm,
You're getting all these offers from all these people, and they're offering you regular status credit cards. Get you a secured line credit card with a low limit, something $200, maybe three. What you would do, because that's what I'm doing at the moment myself, is whatever you're looking to purchase, make sure you have the cash for it, either on hand, on your credit card, on your debit card, on your banking account. Make sure you have the cash for it already on hand. And make sure it's something that you're already intending on getting. Don't go and get a credit card and buy something like, I want to go buy a pair of shoes. Oh, you know what? I want to go buy a new necklace. No, use the card for something that you're normally going to always use and have an expense for. So say for instance
mm-hmm.
you catch the bus, I would use my credit card and I would buy my bus pass with it. And I would take the money that I was going to use to buy the bus pass and pay that credit card off before my closing date.
Mm-hmm.
That way you're utilizing the credit card, you're building yourself a credit history. Each month that card is going to get reported to the bureaus each month. And if you're making your successful payments before the closing date, not the due date, a lot of us we think the due date is when we need to pay it before. You need to pay it before, way before that. So hypothetically, let's say your due date is April 15th. Your closing date may actually be like April 1st or March 29th or something like that. You
Mm,
you want to pay it before that closing date because what happens is on that closing date, the statement is printed and then sent to you. So when you get the statement, they're sending you the charges and all the balance that was on the account as of that closing date. You want to pay whatever it is that you owe down to at the minimum 3% balance by the closing date. That's going to reflect good credit history. That's going to reflect a good payment history and credit usage. With your credit score, it's like 30% credit usage, 30%
yeah,
on
I
time
want to say
payments.
30% below.
Yeah, on time payments, things like that. All those things can help you build a great credit history, and in the future, open up doors for you to purchase that home that you really want to buy, or that vehicle that you may want to purchase, or that small business loan to start that business to open up new financial doors for you. But all those things get closed on us when we act irresponsibly. So a lot of people look at credit cards as a bad thing because you can do bad with them, but if
Oh,
you
yeah.
take it, but that's with anything. You can do bad with a paycheck from your job. You can do bad with so many things. You can do bad with money that you have saved in your account because you don't know how to manage it. It's so many things you can do bad with. It's just a matter of figuring out how to utilize it. So right now, currently, that's the method that I've been using. Got a secure credit card. We have a due date. I pay the balance down to 3% or less on the closing date. So that way when a due date comes, I don't have anything to pay. When the statements get sent to the credit bureaus, the reporting bureaus, it's not going to show a zero balance. It's going to show possibly like a 3% usage balance, which lets them know that I am using the credit card and that I am responsible because they don't want to necessarily see a zero balance because that just means you
Right.
you got a credit card and you ain't using it, and they could care less for that. So it won't hurt. That won't hurt your score, but it's not going to necessarily boost it much either.
a zero balance for a really long time, um, it can eventually negatively impact you, like if it closes or
Yeah,
whatever.
if it closes,
I don't
yep.
know how true that is, but and then I also heard that you want to have whatever line of credit you have, you want to have it at least over for 7 years before you close it. I've
Hmm.
broken that rule a couple different times because I had some scorecards, and I'll talk about that when I give my tips. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's it. Since you
Hmm.
said that, you're saying some stuff that I don't even know myself. Thank you.
Oh yeah, no problem. I listen. I've been working on my score. My score was extremely low, so I don't mind sharing my score. My FICO was at a 489. That's how bad it was.
Mhm.
FICO was at a 489. With me making just a few minor adjustments and disputing a few things, it had jumped from a 489 to a 521 within like a few days.
Wow.
So it's building your credit history and maintaining a good history is important so that you don't find
And
yourself.
it's not that hard either.
No, it's not. It is not. It's a lot of times where you may have something old on your report and the balances may be incorrect or information may be outdated or something like that. If you send in a dispute saying, "Oh, maybe the information is incorrect, balance doesn't seem correct to me," or something like that, once the credit bureau contacts that agency, if they can't provide the information correctly or if they don't answer, they'll mark it off of the report.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen
But
that
it has
happen.
to be something genuinely know that hey, this is right.
Yeah, that or what was something that I disputed for mine? One of them was paid in full, but for some reason it
Mhm.
was still showing up on the report as late payments or something like that. So stuff like that. Um, if it's more than 7 years old, and say, you know what, just for the statute of limitations, this should be removed. You can present that case, and they may remove it in that case as well.
Mhm.
But a lot of times these old, when you got accounts that's like 7, 8 years old, a lot of the times the collection agency that's over that account, they may not even answer the phone because it just may not be a working number anymore. They may have
Mm.
relocated. They may have changed their name totally and revamped the whole company. I see that happen a lot where collection agencies' names just change, numbers change. So stuff like
Yeah.
that happens. That's a possible chance that you can get something wiped off of your report. Just for a discrepancy like that.
Okay.
So yeah, it's different little things. I mean, we may do another episode where I can like really research and go into further detail of what you could do and things that you could do to better your score or dispute different things on your report as well. That could be an idea for a different podcast. I wouldn't mind that. Well, Miss Shaw, I thank you for coming by the podcast and just hanging out with me and just sharing your experiences and your thoughts and your perceptions on this particular topic. It's always a joy having you on the podcast and definitely hope to have you again.
Thank you so much. I really do you mind give us like one before you close
Oh
out?
no, you go ahead, take your time.
Okay, so there's one tip I want to share with like younger customers, not younger customers, younger people with credit. Don't let your first credit card be a store credit card. Use your major logos like Visa, MasterCard, American Express, simply because if you have a short check, and let's just say you have a Hollister card or what's another one, a Best Buy mobile card. If those cards don't have major logos on them, they're limiting that store. So get a major logo card like Visa, MasterCard, American Express because if push comes to shove, you're able to feed yourself, you'll be able to get gas. So that's just one tip that I wanted to give because it is super enticing working in the retail industry. Like when people see like, oh, I can get a card here and I can swipe walk away. That is where I made a lot of my mistakes. Because I was thinking like, I know I got to pay this, but it can give you too much wiggle room. you know,
Mm.
when it comes to those store credit cards and those limits of thinking, oh, I can just walk away from this, and before you know it, you wake up, you got $1,000 balance on something. I
Yeah.
was really close to having $1,000 on a store card one time, and if you asked me what I bought, I would not be able. I couldn't tell you.
Oh
I could
wow.
not tell you because like it was little things. It was like, oh, I'll use this with this discount, and I'll get this super cheap. And so like you spend $15 on a card, don't think about it.
Mm.
And that interest rate is what gets a lot of people
And that's
because I'm sorry, go
I
ahead.
was gonna say that, and that's where that closing date comes in.
Yeah,
A lot of interest
it's
rate is
crazy.
it hits when you're paying the minimum balance on that
Mhm,
due date. That's when that interest rate comes in. But hitting it on that closing date for some cards, it'll negate that, and you won't have to worry about interest rate.
exactly, and that's something that I don't think a lot of young people think about. Is oh, I'll just pay this $30 minimum payment, but you also gonna pay this $30 minimum payment and this 30% interest rate on this revolving balance that you keep letting carry over. It does not. You. I think a misconception that's out there is, oh, let a little bit stay on the car, it'll build your credit. No, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
No, sir. Pay that bill.
Mm-hmm.
Build your credit. I'm more likely, and like I give this example, and I'm gonna let you go because I know you're ready to go. But
Oh
I
no,
give this
I'm
example to
good.
my customers. I give an example to my customers just to make them understand, like, hey, a credit card is a loan, and for the people, and again, it makes me like cringe a little bit because, like I said earlier, I give this example to all ages, and I have a lot of older people. They don't understand. A credit card is a loan. So basically, if I'm the bank and I'm saying, hey, Mike, I trust you with $10,000 of my money. I'm gonna give you the 10,000. I'm gonna let you walk out my facility with this loan. You can spend it however you want. But guess what? If you don't pay me back my 10K in the next 6 months, I'm gonna charge you enough interest to make a profit. And
Mm-hmm.
let's just say, like, I mean, I'm not a mathematician, but let's just say I charge you enough to make an extra $2,000 profit or $5,000 profit.
Right.
You're not going to be thinking about that because you just hear the, oh, I got food for this $10,000 and I can go and do whatever I want. That is a mindset that needs to be broken. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot do everything that you want with these credit cards, young people. Like, I'm
Mm-mm.
not saying young people like I'm old, but like, seriously, think about your future. Think about the long term when it comes to getting these lines of credit. Your credit card that you swipe, that is money. Whenever you swipe that card, that is money that you have yet to encounter yet. That's money that you haven't gotten yet. If it isn't available in the account, it's not working. If it isn't something that you could see, like if I get paid 2 weeks from now and I swipe my Discover card for some gas,
Mm-hmm.
do I want to take this money out of my future check? If the answer is no, don't swipe that card.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only those are the few tips that I want to share. But I would love to be a part of another discussion about this. Thank you so much again for having me.
Oh no, it was a joy having you, and just hearing your thoughts and your perceptions on it is always a joy for me. And like I said, with those cards, you know, you don't want to. Like I said, it's a loan.
Mhm.
It's not free money. It's a loan, and it's a way that you can responsibly use it. And like I said, I with me, I the way I use it is the money that I have on me, cash or in my bank account, that I'm intending on spending, like something that I normally will spend on, such as gas or, you know, maybe if I'm picking up some groceries, things that are necessities that I normally buy. I may use a credit card for, and then just go ahead and pay that since I was already intending on spending cash on that anyway, and then
Mhm.
just use that same transaction to build my credit. When I hear people say keep leave a little bit of balance on there, that'll build your credit. That's not it's true, but not necessarily true. What they're supposed to be saying is they want to see credit usage. So
Mhm. Mhm.
that 3% credit usage is what they want to see. When you go over that and you leave it over 3% after that due date, after that closing date, that's going to negatively impact you. After that closing date, if you got 3%. That's not bad. And once that closing date gets sent and that statement gets sent, then you can go ahead and pay the rest of it off. And it reflects on your account that you have a nice 3% balance. You have a decent and a moderate level of credit usage. You're responsible with it. You've paid it off on time. All that reflects and shows a good credit history, and that boosts your score. And I think it's just a
Yeah.
misconception with that and the exact numbers and all that. But yeah, man, great episode. I definitely enjoyed having you, and I would definitely look forward to having you again on the show.
Hey, thank you so much. You take care. Have a good day.
All right, you too. All right, guys, that is it for this episode. I am King Nappy, your host. This is the Regal 30 podcast. Just going over some credit and some credit tips and just some why and how when it comes to bad credit history with people. We were mainly speaking from a perspective of the black community, but there are people all over from every walk of life that are dealing with troubles with credit and dealing with bad credit and things like that. There are so many companies out here that claim that they cater to bad credit, no problem. You know, bad credit, this bankruptcy, don't worry about it. We got you. Because it's just the way it is designed. It's not designed for you to win at all. It's designed to just drain you of whatever funds that you possibly have to put in their pocket. And they know that more than likely you're not going to pay off whatever it is, whether it's furniture, whether it's a vehicle, whether it's barely ever housing, but you know, it's not designed for you to win when they know that you're irresponsible. So let's just be smarter, make wiser decisions, be smarter about our credit history. Go and look at your report, see what's on there, see what decisions you made. Sometimes it's a hard look, sometimes it's a tough look in the mirror at ourselves, but that's where it starts. Look at yourself and say, you know, what habits do I have that I could get rid of? What are some tendencies that I have that I could do without? And it just takes us making that adjustment from there and just moving and putting our best foot forward. That is it for this podcast, guys. I appreciate everybody stopping by and taking a listen. Don't be afraid to support the channel. There should be links on Anchor. I should have links for that once the podcast post for listener support. If you guys want to support our channel and give unto us, we will take any and everything. Everything is appreciated. We want to continue to bring up some great topics and bring up some great points. Continue to reach into our community and find great people with good perspectives that we can talk about different things, talk about certain topics, and maybe some hard to talk about things, maybe some easier to talk about things. Subscribe to us on YouTube at NappsandNurture at NappsandNurture. On YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe. We are also on Breaker. We are on Anchor, Google Podcasts. We are on Radio. I think it's Radio Public podcast or broadcast. We are also on Spotify as well at the Regal 30 podcast. I will see you guys later. Peace.